Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're sorting through the complete chaos of the YIR Sports Network Week 7 recap.
Yeah, chaos is the right word.
Our goal here is to just pull out the knowledge nuggets that you actually need. I mean, if you follow sports, this week pretty much reset the entire board.
It really did.
Our mission isn't just to, read off scores. We're here to figure out what specific actions by a player, by a team, actually caused these huge shifts we saw.
Right.
We saw a rivalry game with 79 points scored by one team. We saw the #1 team fall 2 spots without even losing. We have to dig into the why behind all that.
And that's exactly the focus. For you, the listener, you have to understand that whatever you thought you knew about the top teams, well, Week 7 just blew it all up. Understanding this new top 10 hierarchy is non-negotiable because the difference between #1 and #3 is suddenly psychological. It's all about perception.
The statement wins.
Precisely. The statement wins. And then we'll get into the individual players whose stats were so extreme they basically forced those ranking changes themselves. This will give you the full picture of where the power really is right now.
Okay, let's jump right in with the rankings because this is where the ground really shifted.
Yeah.
The biggest headline has to be the movement at the top of the top 25.
Yep.
Georgia Tech. They vaulted from #3 all the way to the new #1 spot. They commanded it.
They did, but that command is really defined by the fall of the old leader. Texas A&M, who was #1, dropped 2 spots, down to #3.
And again, they won their game. People just glancing at headlines might think they lost.
Right, but they didn't. They won, but the committee looked at that win and basically called it pedestrian, not good enough compared to what everyone else was doing.
Pedestrian. I mean, when you're the #1 team, shouldn't a win just be a win? What did the committee see that was so bad?
They saw margins. It was all about the margins. A&M won by 20 points against a team that wasn't even ranked. Meanwhile, you have their rivals winning by 40, 50, even more. So the crucial insight here is that the margin for error at the very top isn't just 0, it's negative. You have to blow people out.
Wow. So a 3-touchdown win is now seen as what, a sign of weakness?
It's seen as a struggle, not stability. It's the committee punishing them for a lack of style points, or maybe just a lack of ruthlessness.
That feels like manufacturing drama, almost.
It could be. Or it could be them just reacting to the absolutely bonkers performances we saw everywhere else. Either way, the data is clear. They paid a price for it.
And while all this is happening, Penn State is just sitting there, holding steady at #2. They were solid, kept winning, and they benefited from A&M's perceived slip.
Exactly. And right below them, you see more momentum. Nebraska moves up to #4, making a really strong case.
And Georgia holds strong at #5. So that top 5 feels, I don't know, a little more settled now.
It is, for now. It's solidified by teams that won big. But you look just outside that group, and the volatility comes right back. LSU slides down to 6, Miami drops to 7.
Those were big names to be dropping.
Right, yeah.
That suggests a flaw was exposed, right?
Yes. For LSU, a team exploited a weakness on their defensive line, and the game was way closer than it should have been. And Miami, well, they won, but it was a nail-biter, a 3-point struggle.
And that opened the door for Oregon.
It did. Oregon moves up to #8. They had a solid road victory. And right behind them, Texas is now #9.
We are definitely going to talk more about that Texas score in a minute.
Yeah. That jump is all about pure statistical demolition. And then Tennessee rounds out the top 10. But the key thing for you to grasp here is that the gap is widening.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the top 3, Georgia Tech, Penn State, A&M, they're separated by a sliver. But the distance between them and, say, #8, 9, 10, it's getting bigger. The back half of that top 10 is really vulnerable to any team that just puts up an insane score.
Which is exactly what happened this week. That idea of a widening gap, of stratification, is the perfect transition. Because it wasn't just teams, it was individual players driving this.
Oh, complete.
You can't talk about Week 7 without getting into the players who just owned the field. I mean, we're talking about statistical anomalies here.
Let's start on defense, because this guy's stat line, it reads like science fiction. Defensive Player of the Week, C.J. Bazile Jr., the edge rusher from Liberty.
Okay.
So you look at the foundation. 7 total tackles, fine. a good day. But the real story is how he got those tackles.
Right, the backfield dominance.
He had 4 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. 5 TFLs. Think about that for a second.
So on almost every single one of his tackles, he was behind the line of scrimmage.
Exactly. He was disrupting everything. The other team, they can't run their normal offense. They have to change their whole game plan just to account for one guy.
Yeah.
That kind of pressure, it forces mistakes.
Hurried throws, fumbles, all of it.
Precisely. And Bazile didn't just create the pressure, he capitalized on it. He personally generated 3 turnovers. A pass breakup, which is rare for a lineman, 1 forced fumble, and he recovered 2 fumbles. It's so rare to see one player do all of that. He didn't just get sacks, he created total chaos and then cleaned it up himself.
He was a one-man wrecking crew.
Absolutely.
So if Bazile was the defensive force, then the offensive player of the week, Ryan Williams from Alabama, was just, I don't know, pure explosive energy.
That's a good way to put it. This receiver didn't just have a great game, he almost broke records.
Lay out the numbers for us.
8 catches for 299 receiving yards.
299.
Yeah, that's almost 38 yards per catch. These weren't little 5-yard outs, these were home runs, and they turned into points. 4 receiving touchdowns.
4. Most receivers would be thrilled with 4 in a month. He got it in an afternoon.
Right, but here's the part that's even more fascinating. His team knew what they had. He wasn't just a receiver.
He was a weapon.
Exactly. He added 2 more scores on the ground from just 2 rushing attempts.
Wait, 2 rushes, 2 touchdowns?
2 rushes, 2 touchdowns, 6 total touchdowns in 1 game, 10 total touches for 6 scores. That's the definition of unstoppable. That's the kind of performance that turns a regular win into a statement.
And that connects everything back. We have the new rankings. We have the players who put up these insane numbers. So now let's look at the actual scores that made it all happen.
Yeah, let's connect those dots. We should start with the wins that kind of solidified the top teams that didn't move much. Penn State holding at number 2. They got a big road win over Florida, 56-38.
That's a lot of points in a tough place to play. Shows they're for real.
It does. And Georgia Tech, our new number 1, they earned that spot with a 49-31 win against Notre Dame. That 18-point margin against a big rival, that's what the committee wants to see.
Right. It's much more impressive than A&M's win over a nobody.
Infinitely more. Now let's look at the utter domination. You connect Ryan Williams' 6 touchdowns to his team's final score. Alabama crushes Missouri 58-7.
58-7. That's a statement.
It's a statement that says Alabama is a legitimate title contender. No question. And you saw the same thing with Tennessee. They solidified their spot in the top 10 by just rolling over Ohio State 59-17.
59 points against a team like Ohio State. That's not just a win. That's a psychological blow.
It is. These scores show us that the top tier, they're playing a completely different sport than everyone else right now. The gap is real, and it's getting wider.
But the score that just captures all the chaos, the one that threw Texas into the top 10, has to be the Red River Showdown.
Oh, absolutely.
Texas 79, Oklahoma 36. 79 points. It doesn't sound real.
It feels like a typo. You have to understand the history of that rivalry. It's known for defense, for being a brawl.
Right?
To score 79 points in that game, it doesn't just beat your opponent, it rewrites the record books. That offensive explosion is undeniable proof for the committee that Texas has elite, top-tier firepower.
The rest of the top 10 had to take notice of that score.
Everyone did. And just to round out the picture, Nebraska's 45-27 win over Texas Tech helped their move to number 4. It was controlled, efficient.
And Oregon's 28-14 road win at UCLA was professional. That's what got them up to number 8.
And you also had Clemson beating Florida State 47-21. Again, a big margin against a decent opponent. Every single result points to the same theme.
That the top teams aren't just winning. They're winning by historic margins.
And it has completely reshuffled the deck.
So let's boil this all down. What does this mean for you, the listener, going forward? Week 7 was really about extremes, wasn't it?
Completely. Extreme individual performances like Bazile on defense and Ryan Williams with his 6 touchdowns.
An extreme upheaval in the rankings. Georgia Tech gets rewarded for a dominant quality win, while Texas A&M is basically punished for not being dominant enough.
Right. And those margins we talked about, the 79-36, the 59-17, they prove that this stratification, this gap between the elite and everyone else, is now the defining story of the season.
The teams that climbed did so by being absolutely ruthless.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder about what it takes to stay at the top in an environment like this. The committee seems to be demanding perfection. And not just perfection, but historic dominance.
And that's the final thought, isn't it? That's the crucial takeaway. A&M dropped from 1 to 3 because other teams were just more spectacular. So what does that mean for Georgia Tech now?
What do they have to do to hold on to that spot?
Exactly. What margin of victory is enough? Are they just destined to give the crown back next week if they only win by 20? Can any team truly sustain this level of merciless, record-breaking play?
So the question you should really be thinking about is this. Is volatility now just a built-in feature of being ranked #1?
It seems to be. The margin for error has completely vanished.
That is something to keep a very close eye on. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.